As the title would suggest, the popular manga Attack on Titan is a story with a lot of titans in it. But when did you notice that these titans were actually humans? The scene where Reiner just plainly says, "I'm the armored titan and he's the colossal titan," was quite a shock for most readers. We find out later that there are 9 intelligent titans, including Reiner, who can transform at will, and that there are also normal, mindless titans. And these were all originally humans. At the beginning of the story, most readers assumed that titans were just titans and nothing more, but there were hints even then that they were really human. These were perfectly laid out, showing the genius of the author, Isayama Sensei. I found 7 key moments that showed us that the titans were really humans. So in this video, I'll talk about these 7 moments hidden throughout Attack on Titan that told us more about the titans if we only looked a little closer. We'll go over them one by one. Please be aware that this video contains spoilers up to the final chapter of the manga. Some of my own personal opinions will also be included, so keep that in mind as well. There was a shocking scene hidden in the first chapter. Attack on Titan is known for having an action-packed plot right from the start. One of the most famous scenes in the beginning is where the Colossal Titan peers his face over the 50-meter high wall. With the narration, "On that day, mankind remembered," making the scene even more impactful. This strong beginning could pull at readers' heartstrings and get them hooked from the very first page. This iconic scene actually held a hidden clue that the Titan's true form was humans. Page 3 shows Shiganshina District and the back of the Colossal Titan. Let's take a closer look at the feet of the Colossal Titan. Here, we see there's only one footprint left by the Titan. This means that the Colossal Titan didn't walk to the wall, it just appeared out of nowhere. This would make vigilant readers wonder if the Titan was not always in the form of a Titan, but actually something much smaller before it approached the wall, then somehow transformed into a Titan right there. However, this wasn't fully understood to the reader until proof was shown in chapter 96 when Bertolt was seen transforming into a Titan. Readers' eyes are typically drawn to the more impactful elements of a scene, such as the Titan towering over a town or the smoke rising. So most people probably didn't notice this small detail. Many readers of Attack on Titan also paid attention to the famous page that had the title "To You in 2,000 Years" on it, which was a mystery for over 10 years. That could be another reason why people didn't notice the footprints. The use of such amazing foreshadowing from the very beginning truly shows how skilled Isayama Sensei is. Also, pretty soon after that, in the 3rd chapter, the Colossal Titan appears out of nowhere and then disappears just as quickly. So Isayama Sensei really wanted to highlight this in his work. The next clue we got was the nape of the Titan's necks. Something we learned from the start of the story about the Titan's biology is that if you cut the nape of the Titan's neck, it will die. For a long time, humans had enough power to blow the heads off of Titans with cannons. But because of their ability to regenerate, just a few minutes later and they could grow their entire heads back. It seemed like they were immortal, but in reality, they had one weak point, which was the nape. The only way to defeat a Titan is to slice them there. This was explained in chapter 4 of volume 1, and scenes of their necks being sliced was shown many times throughout the manga. This was also foreshadowing, because this made the nape seem like the core of the Titan. Later on, at the end of the 2nd volume, we find out that the nape's actually where the human body of a Titan is held. Eren was shown leaving his Titan from its nape, and the female Titan, and other intelligent Titans, would try to protect it. Speaking of intelligent Titans, throughout the story, the Titans are split into 2 categories, the mindless Titans and the 9 intelligent Titans. Because the original form of the Titans are humans, just like how humans are all different. Once those humans become Titans, they also take on their own set of individual characteristics. Among these Titans, there are some where the Titan form keeps some of the similarities to what they look like as a human. But in other cases, like with Peak, when she turns into the Cart Titan, she looks like a completely different person. The extent to which their human form stays with them as a Titan varies from person to person. Also, the powers they inherit can vary as well. The 9 Titans were born after passing through the phase of being a mindless Titan, which means they're even further away from their original human forms. Because of this, it was very shocking and unexpected when Annie and Bertolt came out to be intelligent Titans. If you look closely at Bertolt's Titan, only his eyes seem to be similar to his human form. The rest of his Titan form doesn't look like him at all. But what about Reiner? He appears for the first time in the middle of the second chapter as the Armored Titan, and then appears in that same chapter in his human form. If you were paying close attention, you might have been able to figure out the Titan's true form by noticing how similar Reiner was to that Titan. With his sturdy build and that unique hairstyle, the Armored Titan looks like a giant copy of Reiner. In the second chapter, the Armored Titan was clearly illustrated, but when the manga was first released, no one even thought that the Titan's true forms could be humans, so it might have been hard to pick up on at the time. But when we see Reiner with a grin on his face shortly after the Armored Titan's first appearance, some readers might have thought that he was sketchy. Later on, in Volume 4, Chapter 15, there's a flashback scene that shows Eren and the rest of the 104th training cadets when they were still in training. This scene draws attention to the fact that Eren had seen the Armored and Colossal Titans. Other kids in the training cadets who had never seen a real Titan before pressed Eren with questions like, "What does a Titan's face look like?" Or, "Have you really seen the Armored Titan?" In this scene, when Eren's talking about the Colossal Titan, it shows Bertolt in the background. And when he's talking about the Armored Titan, Reiner's in the background. They listen in on Eren with calm and collected expressions, but this scene was actually them trying to make sure Eren hadn't found out their true identities. Here we also see Annie staring at Bertolt, and the Marleyan warriors were secretly very nervous at that time. This moment was clearly hinting at us that the Armored Titan was Reiner, and the Colossal Titan was Bertolt. So it could have also led people to believe that the Titans were really humans, back when they were still cadets. You'll see that Reiner, Bertolt, and Annie were always near each other. So once we find out that Annie's the female Titan, Reiner and Bertolt become extremely suspicious. Bertolt would do something even more suspicious later, when the 104th class of cadets were cornered by a group of Titans at Utgard Castle. The higher-ranked soldiers who were equipped with 3D maneuver gear were defeated by the Titans, and they were forced to hide on the top of the tower without any weapons. In the middle of all this, the situation's turned around with Ymir's unexpected transformation into a Titan. Ymir jumps into action, revealing her true form as the Jaw Titan, and fends off the group of Titans by herself. However, it's a tough battle, and not only are there way too many Titans to fight off, but she also has to protect her friends at the same time. Ymir, being outnumbered, destroys the tower and approaches Reiner and the others. Did you notice in this scene that Bertolt is about to turn into a Titan by biting his fist? Even though we know that that Titan was Ymir, a Titan had just run up to him. So we can understand why Bertolt might have felt the urge to turn himself into a Titan in order to protect himself. Biting the hand is a gesture that Eren uses to transform into a Titan. So when we see Bertolt in this scene, we might be able to guess that he's a Titan too. It is possible that this foreshadowing was just a coincidence, but since we know that Bertolt's the Colossal Titan now, this scene stands out even more. So far, we've gone over moments foreshadowing that there were humans that could transform into Titans. But now, I'd like to talk about some moments that were foreshadowing how the Mindless Titans used to be human. We don't officially find out that the Mindless Titans were initially human until Volume 22, but there are many points throughout the story that hinted at this fact. In Volume 5 Special Edition, Ilse's notebook, there's some very interesting things shown given the time of its release in the series. It begins with a notebook that once belonged to the former female soldier of the Scouts, known as Ilse Langar. Ilse participated in the 34th mission Beyond the Walls. When she tried returning home, she ran into Titans, which ended up taking out her fellow soldiers and her horse. Her 3D maneuver gear also stopped working. She was left with no choice but to run north toward the wall. As one would expect, Ilse ran into a Titan on the way. Surprisingly, the Titan didn't simply devour Ilse on the spot, but instead it said, "Subject of Ymir, Miss Ymir, well met," and bowed politely. Ilse was very surprised by this unexpected behavior, but still ended up getting devoured by the Titan in the end. 1 year later, Scout members Levi and Hanji discover a notebook that Ilse had written in on the brink of death. The most important thing written here was that the Titan could talk. Not only that, but the act of bowing was unlike anything we'd ever seen from a Titan up until now. At this point in the series, there was so little information given about the Titans. So the introduction of a Titan that could speak, albeit with limited vocabulary, must have been very confusing for many fans. Now that we knew Titans could speak like humans, most people could probably guess that the Titans used to be human, or even that there were humans inside of them. Another thing to point out is that the talking Titan mistook Ilse for Ymir due to their similar appearances and praised her. So this Titan must have known her back when it was still a human. Another hint that Titans were really humans was back in Volume 8, Chapter 38. There's a scene where Connie goes to his hometown, Ragako Village, to investigate the appearance of Titans there. What Connie, Reiner, and the others thought they witnessed was a desolate scene of the aftermath of a Titan attack. They called out for people, but there was no one left. Connie had a hard time seeing his village so completely destroyed. Strangely enough, the people had just vanished. If they had been attacked by Titans, then there would have been corpses or traces of blood, but there was none of that. It was also a mystery how every single building was reduced to rubble. Later on, it's revealed that the people of Ragako Village had inhaled smoke that contained Zeke's spinal fluid, which caused them to turn into Titans. Because of this, of course there were no corpses or bloodstains left. And since they turned into Titans while they were still in their homes, the buildings were all destroyed. When Connie witnessed the state of his village, he quickly rushed to his home, worried about his family. When he got there, he found his house was crushed by a Titan turned on its back that was unable to move. He thought that the Titan's face reminded him of his mother, and when he was about to leave, it seemed to mutter, "Welcome home," to him. This made Connie suspect that the Titan might actually be his mother. However, Reiner quickly denied these claims. When Connie brought it up again, Reiner desperately tried to deceive him, saying, "If you're a soldier, you need to focus." He tried to convince him that he hadn't heard anything, and that he was wasting their time. He kinda looked like a politician does when they're giving a really emotional speech. I guess Reiner's words persuaded Connie, because after that, he said, "You're right." However, it's later revealed that the Titan was in fact Connie's mom, and something had turned all of the villagers into Titans. Reiner was so desperate to deceive Connie because he knew the truth about the Titans, and he didn't want others to realize it and suspect him. By this point in the story, most readers probably knew that the mindless Titans were originally human. Alright, that's all for now. These were specific scenes from the manga of how certain characters or events took place that hinted at the fact that Titans were originally humans. We went over the Colossal Titan not having footsteps in the first chapter, the nape of the Titan's necks, how similar the Armored Titan looked to Reiner, the foreshadowing of the Armored and Colossal Titan's identities, Bertolt's strange behavior at Utgard Tower, the Talking Titan, and what happened at Ragako Village. Some of this foreshadowing can be seen as early on as the first page of the manga. If there were any other moments like these that you noticed, please let us know by leaving a comment down below. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you again in the next video.